Today on Larry King Now, the multi-platinum selling duo Big and Rich.
And what's crazy is, you know, Kenny is always coming from this place and I'm always coming from this place, and when we meet in the middle, it sounds like that.
On the Muzic Mafia.
It was just a bunch of friends got together because they were having so much fun together that more friends came every week, and next thing you know, they were busting walls out in the room. People were hanging off the fire escape. They'd be standing in the streets.
On their new album, Gravity.
We didn't have any gravity 10 years ago, and in 10 years of building our fans and our career and all that, you can start, and our families and every other thing that's happened in 10 years, we feel like there's some gravity around us now.
Plus, we were flying high, fine as wine, having ourselves a big and rich time, and I was going just about as far as she let me go.
That is the greatest thing I have ever heard.
Just awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
All next on Larry King Now. Welcome to Larry King Now. Great pleasure to welcome back to our show anytime they want. Big and Rich.
Hey.
The multi-platinum selling country music duo consisting of John Rich and Big Kenny Alphen. The duo are celebrating their 10th anniversary this year, and they said it wouldn't last. They were a 2014 nominee for the ACM Vocal Duo of the Year, and their latest album, Gravity, is the first record off their new label, Big and Rich Records. It's available now on iTunes. 10 years. How did that come about?
Well, I think about 15 years ago.
About 15, John.
We wrote our first song together. And Big Kenny had moved to Nashville from Virginia, and he was making rock and roll. And
had a deal on Hollywood Records at the time
Yeah.
we met.
So you were met as friends and collaborated on the
It
song?
was a gal that worked for Fender Guitars at the time. She was known as a Fender Guitar Chick. She had met us both individually as artists and given us guitars. She thought we would probably write songs great together. It just kept encouraging us to get together. Gets John to come to a show one night. I was there playing in some little club in Nashville. I always thought people should leave with something, so I had a big bag of bubble gum that night. You know, like the really cheap
you know, the
Hollywood
individually wrapped ones you're not
Halloween
supposed
bubble.
to eat.
Double.
And I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
make sure everybody leaves the show with a little something. There's a piece of candy from Big Kenny, and I'm slinging it out to everyone. And I slung some to the back of the room to make sure everyone got some. And I
And
nailed
that's where I
John right in
was. It was
between
like
the head.
slow motion, Larry. I could see it coming up from right at his hand. I went, that's coming right, and it went, bam, and hit me right in the
you could write a
forehead.
song about that.
Oh, yeah.
It's coming at me or something. Why'd you name it Gravity?
Well, that kind of has something to do with what brought John and I together also.
Well, it puts all people together, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was originally, we were calling it Lovers Make the World Go Round. But the first line of the song is, they say gravity keeps your feet on the ground. It's just something you can't get around. It's just the way it is. And our fans started saying, play that Gravity song. I went, maybe we should call it
That's
Gravity.
the title.
And then when you think about 10 years, we didn't have any gravity 10 years ago. And in 10 years of building our fans and our career and all that, you can start, and our families and every other thing that's happened in 10 years, we feel like there's some gravity around us now.
Tell me about forming your own label.
Well, that's is a whole new element of what we're doing now as entertainers to take on, too. The business has changed drastically. We got to the point where we felt like we didn't want our music and our creativity to be on the same time frame as what a bigger labels is, meaning they have sometimes at least a dozen acts to put out at a time. We presented an album to them, unexpected to them. They loved it. They're like, well, guys, this is great. But we're like, great, when can we put it out? I said, well, we've got this one scheduled, this one scheduled. Next thing you know, it's a year off.
But,
our fans deserve to get our music, so we went for it.
But you have to self-finance it, don't you?
You do, but you know, I think that's another thing. We talk about something like Gravity. I mean, thanks to our fans, we've been able to do stuff like we can self-finance a record now, and we know the game as good as anybody. And you know, the biggest decision we had to make was what to call the record label. We thought about calling it Lettuce Records. That way, we could be the head of Lettuce Records.
Cool.
Ta 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 ta.
Come on, you know it's good.
Hey!
We missed it a little bit. Okay.
When two people write together, now historically, we go back to the great writers of Broadway and the like. One would write lyrics, one would write music. How do you two work?
Never been a definitive in the way we write. It's you know, an idea can come from anywhere, but the one thing I can say that is a definitive, when John and I sit down and write a song together, it's being sculpted from every side.
So you both write
He's one of the
We
best
both do
craftsmen.
lyrics. We both play music. And,
We play. We
both
do it all.
And what's crazy is, you know, Kenny is always coming from this place, and I'm always coming from this place. And when we meet in the middle, it sounds like that, and that's really the Big and Rich sound.
You've also written for other artists, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
we've had Kenny had a #1 song on Tim McGraw. I've had
#1s on Faith.
and Jason Aldean and Gretchen Wilson and a bunch of people. So.
Do you have as much fun writing for others?
I think we have fun when we're writing, and sometimes you don't know if it's for you or for others. You're just writing a song as great as you can.
Sometimes it's for others.
It's fun writing with other artists. We've got several others on this album, like Frankie Ballard, like Eric Pass.
Tim McGraw's a writer on this
McGraw.
record. We wrote a song with him.
When you write a song for someone else and it becomes a hit, let's say,
Yes.
you ever say, why didn't we do this?
Well, sometimes. We had one called Hicktown that was a #1 on Jason Aldean that sounds like a Big and Rich song. But, you know, one time Faith Hill asked me point blank, she goes, I wish you'd write a song for me. I said, oh yeah, what do you want to sing about? She said, I don't know, just write something only I could sing. I went, well, that's an interesting set of rules. So I thought about it for a couple of days, and I wrote a song called Mississippi Girl. And the first line of the song says, it's a long way from Star, Mississippi, which is her hometown. I said, well, there's nobody else from Star, so only Faith can sing it. She cut it, and it was #1.
You're doing something interesting with your video. Tell me about the Gravity Quadrilogy.
Quadrilogy.
Well, we
What
had
is
an
that?
We're not even
executive
sure that's a
meeting
word,
at Big and Rich Records, and John and I decided we were going to get in the film business. So we made ourselves a short film. So now we've
So how does it work?
Well, how it works is we have a storyline that follows along with our music as the soundtrack to it. So we're telling this story throughout our performance, and it's like we're the narrators of it, and we're singing it also.
We took 4 songs off this record, basically, and wrote a script to it, like Kenny's saying, and it plays out video.
Do I buy the video? Well, how do I?
You'll be able to, yeah. The first part of it just came out a couple of weeks ago with Look at You. Then the next song is a song we sing with Tim McGraw, Big and Rich featuring Tim McGraw, and then that video will come out, and they'll come out in succession, and then at the end of it, you'll have the whole body.
Yeah, you can go on
cool.
YouTube or Vivo right now and see him.
Oh, yeah,
or just Google it. Go.
He's a great guy, Tim.
Tim's a great guy. He's a great friend.
Awesome.
How did the guy's first big hit, Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy, happen? We'll find out next. We're back. The new album is Big and Rich Gravity. It's their own label. And it's a great pleasure to have the boys back with us. You had a huge hit with Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy.
I just like hearing you say that.
That's so cool.
Were you surprised by the success of that song?
Continue to be on a daily basis surprised by the success of that song. That is our Sweet Home Alabama.
Did you write it line by how was it written?
Well, it was this crazy story. These college students from all over the world entered this contest to come to Nashville and learn about the music business, and part of it was learn about writing songs. And our manager, Mark Oswald, hooked us up with it, and we were the songwriting mentors.
So
There's 50 kids, 10 in a room.
Set them down 10 at a time. We wrote songs with them.
They wrote this song?
They watched us write it.
We taught them how to write a song. We spoke to them about songwriting. We had them engaged. Actually, the day that Save a Horse was written, we'd gone around a room, we'd gotten to know everybody, and we just started, songwriting can be anything. Anybody have anything crazy happen to them since they've been here? This one girl throws her hand in the air and says, well, I was at this place last night, and this fella comes up to me and says, hey there, darling, how'd you like to save a horse and ride a cowboy? Now, you could take that off as like we're both thinking, wow, we've seen that on bumper stickers and so many things, and this was a decade ago that this happened. But we just immediately busted into it. I was like, wow, that could make a great song. That lines came out in an hour.
I'm going to read some lines from the song.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm a thoroughbred, that's what she said, in the back of my truck bed. And I was getting buzzed on suds. Out on some backcountry road, we were flying high, fine as wine, having ourselves a big and rich time. And I was going just about as far as she'd let me go.
That is the greatest thing I have ever heard.
Just awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Larry, you got to come on the stage
awesome.
with us sometime.
Is that
oh, my God. That just
Big
set
and
us
rich
free.
and
Is that not a little risque lyric, huh?
Well,
I think everyone's probably got some stories in their life of maybe, a first love or something like that.
I get it.
I'm sure I felt like that was really natural, him saying
I
that
mean,
just now.
did you hear the meter?
Yeah, and I think
it
great
moved me.
songs, you have to pull from your stories of life, your relationships
One of your
in life.
songs, Coming to the City, is every week on ESPN. How long has that been going?
Oh, I think this is
9 years.
Coming up on 9 years. Every Saturday morning, it's cool because some people that don't listen to country music still know us from that. So we'll be in an airport. They go, "You're the guys on college
Probably
football."
Wide is your most recognizable song, right? I mean,
It's definitely
every
a
Saturday.
song
It's
that
right
has
up
a new or different audience to it. That's probably the one that people in airports most pick us out as, you're those guys that sing Coming to Your City.
A few years ago, you broke up, right?
Well, we didn't break up.
What happened?
But we took some time off for sure.
Why?
Well, we were about to burn completely out. You know, the story, I mean, early on, this guy gets hit by a drunk driver in the middle of the night. I remember pulling up on it, and his truck is just totaled. They had to have 2 neck surgeries. I mean, he was in agony out there on the road for a while, and that associated with just pedal through the metal breakneck pace of Big and Rich and keeping up with our career.
And needing, you know, we were both in the midst of starting families, or I had started, John
I couldn't
started.
start one because we,
you know, once we just had to pull it back a
So
little
you
bit to
took off
fit
how
everything
long?
else in life.
It was a couple of years, you know, and
You didn't work
Of
individually?
recording new music.
We did stuff individually,
we toured as Big and Rich every year since 2004 and before.
But
we
just
did,
the
we
pace
did
of
other
that,
stuff too.
We had to stop for a minute, you know.
Tell me about the accident.
It was actually June 27th, 2002. It was after a Muzic Mafia event one Tuesday night, about 3 a.m. in the morning. I've just packed up everything and I'm leaving. I'm driving down, driving out of the club on 12th Avenue, and I all of a sudden look up, going through a blinking light intersection. I look up to my right, there's a blind corner, and just wham, it was that quick. Just T-boned me and just snapped my neck like that. When we did the CMAs the first time that morning, whenever we would go into Nashville, I would go see a doctor and have him inject my neck just like a athlete would. And that morning, I was doing that at 7 a.m. in the morning. We just pulled in the bus that night. Supposed to be there at rehearsal at like 9, 10. I'd gotten out of the procedure and my arm wouldn't move, right? It just messed my nerves up. So I'm calling John. I can't be there because they've said you just got to just chill for a while. It was just crazy stuff like that all the time. But now I'm glad to say, now that I've gotten this metal plate in my neck and got my head screwed on straight, like my daddy always told me, that boom, now I'm Superman.
You won on The Apprentice, huh?
I did win The Apprentice. Donald Trump is fantastic. He's great. Larry King.
How did you come to even go to that? Why did you want to be on that?
Well, you know, there's a hospital called St. Jude Children's Hospital that you know all about it. They're probably the greatest children's hospital in the world.
Memphis.
In Memphis. And they're a research hospital, too, and nobody ever pays that's ever been to that place. They take the hardest cases of childhood cancer in the world. And so I wanted to go on Apprentice to see if I could raise $1 million. I was a fan of the show. It was fun to watch it. But I hadn't seen anybody hit anywhere near $1 million. And I went, I'm going to see if I can hit $1 million. And sure enough, by the time the show was over, it was $1.4 million that we raised for St. Jude. And the online presence that happened, they said it was $40, $50 million came rolling in online.
Was it fun to do or not?
I wouldn't call it fun. I mean,
you gotta work hard, right?
It was banana. Yeah, I mean, I was on camera 56 out of 58 days from 6 in the morning to 11 at night. So it got pretty interesting. When you have to peel Gary Busey and Meatloaf apart from each other because they're screaming at each other over finger paints, we've reached a new level of insanity.
Finger paints.
Yeah.
Well, insanity could star the both of them.
Oh, it was a great experience.
You're very involved in charity, right?
Yeah. My wife and I have.
What's Love Everybody? Big Kenny's Love Everybody family.
It's just well, it's what our belief is. You know, if we can just put something out there, if there's a carrot to walk towards, for this world to walk towards, at some point we've got to all give a dang about each other. We've got to care, and that's just the basis of it. We've been able to help get a bunch of schools built. Actually been into the middle of Sudan, gotten 500 girls in school there in a place they had nothing. Got the buildings built. We've stopped cholera epidemics just by flying in medicine supplies. I've seen a kid written off as dead. I put a needle in his arm and some salt water. For 25 cents, he woke up living. He's the same age as my child. So there's just children out there everywhere that need help. And that's
anything else you do.
When awareness comes to you like that, there's just no greater.
We're going to take a look back at the Muzic Mafia and what that means right after this. Back with Big and Rich. Their new CD is Gravity. You guys started as co-founder of the Music, spelled M-U-Z-I-C, Mafia. What was that?
Well, Muzic Mafia, there you go.
Music without prejudice.
Got the rings on right there.
Expandalism of music without prejudice. It was just a bunch of us getting together, that all these different talents and writers in Nashville. Music City's so creative. There were some of us that were writing rock and roll, some country, some bluegrass, some that were just artists, dancers, and whatever, any kind of form. We wanted a place where we could all get together and just play our
Jugglers, fire
music,
breathers.
play our music for
So
each
what
other and not have to
happened?
clean up
Well, I mean, it
afterwards.
was a group of artists that none of us, we were all kind of misfit renegade artists. It's Gretchen Wilson. You know, she was bartending downtown in Nashville. You had Cowboy Troy, who is the first guy who ever slammed rap and country together. He was selling shoes at a Foot Locker in Dallas and driving up and jamming with us at Muzic Mafia.
So people came to watch this?
Oh, yeah, it was in this little place called the Pub of Love. It held about
There's
60 people.
No bigger than this room here.
And
you've
how did
got.
it take off? It got famous?
Well, we did 72 Tuesday nights in a row.
It was just a bunch of friends got together because they were having so much fun together that more friends came every week, and next thing you know, they were busting walls out in the room. People were hanging off the fire escape. They'd be standing in the streets.
And then record labels started showing up.
Did it end or is it still on?
Well, no, the Muzic Mafia is always in existence, especially when you see two of these sitting together. But it goes on. It's an idea that continues and has spawned a lot of other groups like that out of Nashville.
You have guest collaborators that play with Mafia artists, right? Very different from yourselves.
Yes.
How does that all work together?
Well, that's the beauty of what it is. You know, it's a non-competitive creative environment. You know, artists we don't like competing with each other. We like making music with each other. It's the business that likes to compete. So we just took the business out of it and said, hey, I like the way you sing and I like the way you play. I know you're on this side and you're on this side and I'm over here. Let's all get together and make this thing happen.
And when we're
That's
together,
Big
we're
and
the
Rich
trees
music
in the
happens.
forest. And when you're a tree in the forest, you can't fall over, no matter what. There's always others around you.
Country artists, unlike others, root for each other, right?
We do root for each other because you know how many dues people pay to really make great country music.
Kid Rock work with you?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Kid Rock.
He's a
fantastic.
good one.
He did a lot of the early Muzic Mafia shows. As they started growing and getting bigger, we actually went on tour with him and did Mafia shows after his events and
Might
a
it
couple of
come
times
back?
before any of us were signed or anything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mafia, why don't bring it back?
Yeah, well, what happened is all the artists that were in it got record deals and sold millions of records, and everybody took off, working. But we're talking about now maybe a little reunion run on that. We'll invite you. You can do the rap. You can
I'll do
rap,
the
save
rap,
a horse.
What do you think of some of I'm going to name some current popular country acts. Give me your opinion.
Okay.
Jake Owen.
Jake's
Oh,
great.
he's cool. Yeah,
Beachin'.
we like him. He's like a country Buffett.
Yeah.
The band Perry.
Super
Oh Lord,
talented.
that girl,
She can sing.
She can
she
sing.
brings the lightning.
Blake Shelton.
I love Blake. I mean, what a personality. Just
Good
a
old
great,
boy.
fun guy.
Yeah, and
people
watch-
don't know how long he's been at it in Nashville.
Yeah.
When I first came there in '95, I remember sitting there singing, pitching songs to him over at Giant, where his label was then.
Miranda Lambert.
Whoa.
Oh, buddy.
Well, it's cool to see what she did.
She's a hand grenade in the room in a good way. I mean, that girl is not playing around, and she can write one hell of a country song. To me, she's got this
Fantastic
song
writer.
called Automatic out right now that to me is just one of the greatest things I've ever heard.
All country songs have a story, right?
But most do. I think
would
that's
say,
one of
yeah,
the
that's-
things that makes them stand out.
Eric Church.
Wow, he's definitely brought a really Muzic Mafia sort of style into music too. He's kind of really doing his own thing. His latest record has a lot of rock influence in
Is
it.
pop and rock now involved in country? Are they kind of merging?
The sounds are, I mean, we've actually read interviews, Larry, from artists that have come out in the last couple of years that actually cite Big and Rich and our first record, Horse of Different Color, as when we, like Florida Georgia Line, we love those guys and they're huge right now. They said, man, when we heard that Big and Rich record, that first one, and we heard Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy, we went, that's the kind of stuff we want to do.
Now, who came up with the attire that you wear?
Who came up
Kenny
with
picks
that?
out all of my
I
clothes.
said, John, just call him early in the morning and said, John, you've got to wear that.
What are you wearing? Okay.
Lovely blue
How did you come up
jacket.
with
Well,
the
his
idea?
wife's a
of-
stylist.
Yeah, my wife's
there
a
you go.
stylist, so that definitely helps out.
Now, your hat is not a country hat.
Well, yes, it is, because I'm a country boy wearing it.
Oh.
And that's kind of how it works. So whatever, it's kind of like people ask us, or they might say, in the beginning especially, that's not country, or that's not country. Well, country is really what we're about as artists. We're both country boys, so that's what, we have all these other influences in our music, but we're country boys.
Johnny Cash wasn't country when he came, they didn't think he was country. He was
But he was a
rock
country
and
boy.
roll.
Pray tell.
Conway Twitty wasn't country. I mean, it's, on and on.
Did you dress this way before you were big and rich?
Yeah. John has had that,
I mean,
that mustache since he was 19.
I agree with this because when I was 19, I was out with the band Lone Star, and we were playing clubs. And this one club in Dallas where all the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders would hang out. In between sets, the other guys got off the stage, but the club owner wouldn't let me off because I'm 19. And the band was like, "Oh my God, I just met this Dallas Cowboy."
If you just had a mustache.
I said, "Can you grow a mustache?" I said, "I'll try." And I grew this little faint mustache, and sure enough, it worked. And it just stayed on there ever since.
What's crazy is that the entire time I've known him, I've never seen him even nick it or it go all out of a line in any way, shape,
Well, I just
or form.
glue it on,
It's
basically.
perfection.
How do you work it every day? You have to
Yeah, you know, it's
shave around it?
yeah. No, actually, I have an entire thing I put on my
Hey,
face. It's
style,
just cut out and I
style is
just
part
peel
of
it.
what we do
course.
as
What about your
entertainers.
hair?
It's all about it. My hair has been long since, well, it was as a kid. It's been long since I was
You're a
kid.
natural blonde?
I'm a natural blonde, yeah.
Big and Rich will answer you. Big and Rich.
That
I don't
got
know
me.
why that's funny.
That got me.
Big and Rich will answer your social media questions next. We're back with Big and Rich. Their new album is Gravity. Okay, we have some social media questions.
Okay.
Cali Knight on Facebook. Where do you find the inspiration to write the songs?
Just
Come from anywhere?
things that we run in. We might write a song about this interview when we leave here.
I get it.
If you leave your mind open to receiving, then it just happens.
At Mother Fun 1 on Twitter, are you planning a big tour with the new album?
Yes, this year we've done close to 100 shows, and next year will be that many or more. Yeah.
Bus, plane, or what?
Everything. We're planes, trains, automobiles,
Camel.
whatever it takes to get there and get the job done.
At Dolph Saint, when will the second video of the Gravity quadrilogy be released?
Well, right now it's scheduled to come out right after the first of the year, but we want it to come out sooner.
We may put it out in December, but it's not long, a couple of months.
At Shamus Tweets, where do you get your sunglasses, Kenny?
From the sunglass store. These are actually Paul Smith, but you can go in and pick out what you like and put it all together. Got a style, and some of them I make. I obviously got a couple friends that make them. Yeah.
Moroccan Wisdom, who haven't you collaborated with you?
I'd like to sing with Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. We actually have a song on this
fantastic.
record called "Thank God for Pain." And I wrote the song. I wrote the song for Steven Tyler, trying to get a cut on him. He's my favorite rock artist, and it wound up not making his record, so we cut it, and it's actually become a fan favorite on the record. But Steven Tyler,
Yeah, there's a
he's the man.
DJ out, a young DJ named Avicii, that I like a lot. I love what he's really out there on the way out on the cutting edge of what would be considered country, but just
you'd
some
like to
great
work with him?
songwriting. I love it.
Yeah.
Love to work with him.
We play a little game of If You Only Knew, just through questions.
Okay.
First girl you ever kissed?
Becky McMullen, second grade.
Where was it, Nashville?
Amarillo, Texas.
Amarillo.
Yeah, buddy. I put a move on her.
There's the
You ever
Thornhill
find out
twins.
whatever happened to Becky?
No, but maybe after this interview I'll
Yeah,
find
probably
out.
you might.
Becky,
Who
call
the
me.
first girl you ever kissed?
It was the Thornhill twins, and they kissed me.
The twins?
Yeah, it
You
was
had twins for your
right?
first kiss?
Darlene
Oh.
and Doreen, wherever y'all are. Sorry, you
rock
kissed
star.
me in preschool.
Where was this?
I was in preschool. It was
Where? What
Farmington
city?
Elementary School in Culpeper, Virginia. I remember being quite freaked out that day.
You ever find out what happened to the twins?
They still live there, and actually both of them, I think, are married to friends of mine I grew up with.
Superpower you'd like to have?
Oh, time travel.
Just the ultimate happiness.
Oh.
Okay.
I'd like to be invisible. Would you rather catch a touchdown or hit a home run?
I'd rather catch a touchdown.
I'm going to say I would rather smack a home run.
Yeah, me too. What did you want to be when you were a kid?
A healer, a team roper. I want to be a professional rodeo guy when I was a kid.
A healer. I wanted to heal people.
Like a prophet.
Yeah, I was raised on a farm, so I thought I'd be a farmer, a
Kenny,
fireman, an
why don't you
electrician,
start with
regular
yourself?
stuff.
Start with yourself.
Heal thyself.
Healer.
Anyway,
You see what I deal with here, you see?
what's a time period you'd like to travel to?
Wow, I feel like I've traveled back in time 100 years in some of the places I've seen, really.
I think it would be cool to meet Jesus.
That would be crazy.
Go back to
That'd be
biblical
crazy.
times.
I would.
Yeah.
Favorite city to work in?
Favorite city to work in?
So this one's been pretty fun right now.
man, I don't know
New
how you-
York City
New
is
York's
always
fun.
a blast.
New
It's
York City
crazy.
just gave us our own double-decker bus. The city put our faces on it and said, anytime you come to New York, this is
Got our
your
own
bus.
seats.
Call
New
it.
York
Right
City
there.
is a big country town.
It really is.
It
It really
is.
is.
Sure is.
First act you opened for?
Tim McGraw.
Tim McGraw.
Most embarrassing moment on stage?
I think my pants ripped.
My crotch ripped out two nights ago.
This past week.
I mean, and the problem is when you go and you feel it rip and you have no idea how bad it is, and you just stand up and you're going, oh my God, what am I going to do? But it literally came totally out.
Favorite?
I've taken some pretty good falls too, where I rolled out of them knowing.
Do you ever forget what city you're in?
Absolutely.
It's great to be in Philadelphia with you.
It's so fun here. We go see the Liberty Bell too.
What's the first song you ever sang professionally?
Ooh, well, for me, it was in a band called Lone Star, and the song, it was end of '94, and it was called "It Was Just the Tequila Talking."
Yeah, mine was on
long?
candy-colored glasses.
Candy Colored. I wrote a song with you once when you were on.
We did. We were working on
But
it.
I never finished the
We
song.
got to finish it.
I'd rather be homeless than be home with you. Now, I think that
It's a
could
love
be a
song.
good novelty
Love
hit. It's country all the way.
That's right.
Item you need when you tour, you have to have with you.
Cigars.
Smoke cigars.
I would say I really like to have a good shot of whiskey before I go on stage. I enjoy that a lot.
Biggest difference between you?
He likes to smell the roses, and I like to mow them down.
Biggest similarity?
Work ethic.
Yep.
Would you rather bungee jump or skydive?
Ooh.
Skydive.
Yeah.
Best part about country music?
Best part about country music to me is that you get to sing about any and everything. There is no subject matter that's off, that's out of bounds. You can sing everything from about our veterans to Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy to love songs. And I think that's what makes country music the greatest genre in the world.
It's community. It's a community. The fans, the relationship the artists have with the fans are unlike any other format that I've seen. The party that happens during the CMA Fest in Nashville every year.
Nothing like it.
That connection's crazy.
You guys are great.
Larry, thank you for having
Thank you,
us.
guys. Bring the Mafia back.
Bless you,
We
brother.
will.
Big and Rich, Gravity. I'd like to thank my guest, Big and Rich, and make sure to go buy or download the album Gravity, out now. And remember, you can find me on Twitter at King's Things, and I'll see you next time, Cowboy.